Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. Detective Elena Marquez was never a superstitious woman, but the moment she noticed the two identical case files resting side by side on her cluttered desk, a cold shiver slid down her spine. They were the same case, at least by title and number. Case 217B, the brutal murder of a local artist named Jonah Pierce. Yet, one file ended resolutely, complete with the killer arrested and confession recorded, while the other trailed into an unsettling abyss of unanswered questions and no arrest. Elena had been assigned to review the cold case after a year of quiet, her department hoping to finally wrap it up in time for the town's annual justice report. But this discrepancy was baffling. Why would her precinct have two documents with diametrically opposite conclusions for the same crime? Typically, official reports and evidence chains were ironclad, especially in murder cases. Her gaze darted across the room to her computer screen, a second source of confinement for her growing frustration. The digital database pulled up only the closed version, the one confirming that the case was solved. The file, signed by Detective Ross Hayes a year ago, painted a neat picture. The victim was killed in a fit of rage by a scorned lover named Thomas Keller, apprehended within 48 hours due to eyewitness accounts and a key fingerprint found at the scene. The second, physical file, dog-eared and clearly handled a few too many times, ended at a different point altogether. It held cryptic notes, unclear evidence chains, and no mention of any Thomas Keller. Instead, it was a heavy dossier of incomplete interviews, confusing testimonies, and a strange pattern of anomalies across the investigation. Elena was seized with a mixture of professional curiosity and something more personal, an invisible pull to uncover the mess behind the conflicting files. The hours advanced, and the police station emptied. The dull hum of the fluorescent lights overhead thickened the tense atmosphere as Elena sipped her lukewarm coffee, comparing pages line by line. On her right lay the official report, confident and conclusive. On her left, the shadowy account of a case still struggling to find closure. Elena's eyes lingered on a witness statement in the unsolved file. A woman named Mira Collins, a neighbor, had recounted hearing odd noises the night of the murder, before a loud crash, but she was never interviewed by the official lead detective. Curious, Elena dialed Myra's number, which was listed in the file. The line rang several times before a tired voice answered. "Mira Collins, please say the secret word," Elena quipped nervously, deciding to break the formalities. "It's Detective Marquez. I'm reviewing the Pierce case." "You spoke to Detective Hayes, yes? I was wondering if you'd be willing to talk again." There was a pause on the other end. "Sure, Detective. I remember that night very well." Her voice was cracked with age and fatigue, but tinged with urgency. "You don't think they got it right, do you?" Elena swallowed hard. "That is what I am trying to figure out." Inside the battered little house Mira lived in, Elena could see dust motes suspended in the fading evening light. Myra's brittle frame sat hunched in a tattered armchair, her fingers twisting a frayed handkerchief. "I always thought it was Thomas's men. They were enemies with Jonah's family, violent men, bad news," Mira whispered. "But Thomas himself? No. I saw someone else that night. A shadow. Someone who ran past my window just after midnight." No one believed me. No one listened. Elena pressed on. "What did you see exactly?" "A man, tall, wearing a trench coat and a wide brim hat. Face hidden, but I swear I caught the gleam of a silver ring on his finger." That detail snagged Elena's attention. In the official file, there was no mention of such a figure. She jotted down notes and decided to visit the crime scene herself the next day. The following morning, Elena drove to Jonah Pierce's once vibrant art studio, now a silent husk on the edge of downtown. The walls were splattered with Jonah's paintings, abstract forms, tortured faces, and the small window where Mira supposedly saw the shadow gave an overlook into an alley sealed by a chain-link fence and thick bushes. As the breeze rattled broken glass on the ground, Elena's boots crunched across scattered debris and she knelt by a toppled flowerpot. Something glinted in the sunlight. It was a silver ring. The ring was weighted with age, engraved with a strange symbol, two entwined snakes. Pulling on her gloves, Elena slipped it into an evidence bag as the pieces in her mind began to click. Thomas Keller's name, repeatedly mentioned in the closed file, might have been a convenient scapegoat to pin the murder on. But who would want to cover this up? Back at the precinct, Elena sought help from her trusted forensic analyst, Raj Singh. She placed the ring on the microscope table and watched Raj study its tiny engravings. "This symbol is from a secret society," Raj murmured, brow furrowed. "The Ouroboros Club, known to be connected with wealthy, influential people around here. All of them insurance magnates, politicians, or big business." Elena remembered the official file mentioned Jonah Pierce had recently been working on a public art commission funded by a local business conglomerate. Was this the real motive? Had someone of stature wanted the artist silenced? The revelation dawned on her like a thunderclap. Her next step forced her into uncomfortable territory. Meeting with the original lead detective, Ross Hayes. He was a gruff man nearing retirement, his once imposing frame now softened but eyes still sharp. "Detective Hayes," Elena began, "I've been reviewing case 217B. There are inconsistencies. People say you caught the killer swiftly, but I've found evidence that suggests the investigation was, let's say, incomplete." Hayes' expression flickered briefly, like a shutter closing too fast, before resetting to indifference. "It was a messy case. We got our man. Simple as that." Thomas Keller made no bones about it. But witness statements from the night were ignored. And this ring, she held it out. It connects to a group with potential motives beyond personal grudges. Hayes snorted. "You're poking at ghosts, Marquez. That case is closed and you're stirring up dust that settled for a reason. You might want to tread carefully." The faint threat buried in his words only made Elena more determined. She delved into the unsolved files once again. The witness statements that had been shelved pointed towards a man who was never officially questioned, Vincent Crane, a wealthy patron of the arts and member of the Ouroboros Club. Elena's next move was risky. She arranged a meeting with Vincent under the guise of a routine inquiry. Crane's mansion glittered with opulence, but his smile held an icy calculation. "So you're digging into old wounds, Detective," Crane said, swirling brandy in his glass. "Old wounds never heal properly," Elena replied carefully. "Especially when the truth is buried." Crane's eyes narrowed. Jonah Pierce was a brilliant artist, but also a troublemaker. He was pushing for commissions and exposing uncomfortable truths about people who fund the arts. Had to be silenced. Elena watched Crane closely. "But did you have a role in that, Mr. Crane? Or someone you know?" The man's smile flickered for a brief second. "Let's just say that sometimes, power must be preserved. And sometimes, it's easier to blame a convenient scapegoat." Before Elena could react, Crane's butler suddenly entered, announcing a visitor. "Detective," Crane said smoothly, "this is as far as our chat goes. I have other matters to attend to." Elena left the mansion with her head spinning but a vital missing link in place. Back at the station, she dug deeper into financial records and obscure ties. It became evident that Crane, along with several powerful men from the Ouroboros Club, had orchestrated a cover-up. Thomas Keller, a man struggling with addiction and prior record, had been coerced into confessing in exchange for leniency, his story bolstered by fabricated evidence. The layers peeled back, Elena uncovered the collusion between corrupt officials, men cloaked in respectability but manipulating justice like puppeteers. The police department had been compromised, and the closed file was another down payment on silence. With proof in hand, she convened a covert meeting with trusted members of the department and her district attorney. The evidence was explosive: financial exchanges, phone records linking Crane to officials involved in the case, and the testimonies of previously ignored witnesses. Elena's fury was tempered with resolve. She made it clear: the true truth needed exposure. And it came with consequences. The high-profile arrests that followed shattered the town's illusion of security. Crane's resignation from his patron's board, the indictment of corrupt officers, and the release of Thomas Keller, who had languished wrongfully accused for nearly a year, made headlines for weeks. Jonah Pierce's family finally received an apology, and the artist's legacy was restored, not as a casualty of a quick fix, but as a symbol of truth's resilience. Sitting alone in her office on a quiet evening, Elena shuffled the two files once more. The official one, now marked with the badge of reopened investigation, next to the shadowy unsolved one that started it all. The juxtaposition of the two was a haunting reminder of how fragile the scales of justice could be. Sometimes, the answers were hidden in the other file, waiting for someone persistent enough to pull it into the light. For more stories, like and subscribe.